Officer Jenkins and Officer Riley thought they were just poking fun at a homeless man, but when they looked inside his backpack, everything changed. This isn't just a story about a homeless man, it's about overlooked genius and a discovery no one expected. Before we begin, tell us where you're watching from. And don't forget to subscribe, because tomorrow we've saved something extra special for you. The autumn evening settled over Brooksville, a small town where people followed their routines. The air was crisp and cool, and the wind carried leaves across the streets. People were heading home from work, their minds on dinner and family. Brooksville was a place where everyone knew everyone. The town was quiet with little to disturb. The peace officer Jenkins and Officer Riley were on patrol. They drove slowly down Main Street, watching the people and the cars. Jenkins was known for his sharp tongue, and Riley often followed his lead. They were not bad men, but they sometimes found humor in places they shouldn't. As they passed the town park, they noticed a man sitting alone on a bench. He was wrapped in an old coat. His hair long and unkempt. Beside him was a worn backpack. The man was Thomas "Tommy" Malone, a familiar face in Brooksville. Tommy was homeless, living day by day, relying on the kindness of others despite his situation. He was always polite and never caused trouble. People in town mostly ignored him. Seeing him as part of the background, Jenkins nudged Riley and pointed at Tommy. They decided to stop and have a bit of fun. The car pulled to the curb, and the officers got out. Tommy looked up, his eyes calm but wary. He had seen these officers many times before and knew their ways. The officers approached him pretending to be friendly. They asked how he was doing, making small talk that barely hid their intentions. Tommy answered with simple words, not giving them much to work with. His voice was steady, his demeanor calm. Jenkins asked about the backpack. It was old and faded with patches on the sides. Tommy's hand rested on it protectively. He said it held his life's work, keeping his words simple and his tone respectful. The officers laughed at this. To them, the idea seemed ridiculous. They couldn't imagine what a homeless man might consider his life's work. Tommy didn't react to their laughter. He just sat there looking at them with a steady gaze. His face showed no anger, just a quiet acceptance. He had learned long ago that reacting would only make things worse. The park around them was empty, the other benches unoccupied. The sun was setting, casting long shadows on the ground. People passed by on the street, some glancing their way but not stopping. It was just another day in Brooksville, where things rarely changed. Jenkins and Riley continued their teasing, asking more questions about the bag. They were curious now, wondering what Tommy might be hiding. Their words were light, but there was an edge to them, a challenge that Tommy understood. He knew they wanted to look inside the bag. It wasn't the first time someone had shown interest in it, but Tommy held his ground, saying again that it was his life's work. He didn't raise his voice or show any fear. He just repeated his words, hoping they would leave him alone. The officers weren't satisfied. Their curiosity was piqued, and they decided to press further. They told Tommy they needed to conduct a routine check, a pretense they often used when they wanted to dig deeper. Tommy hesitated, his hand tightening on the strap of the backpack, but he knew better than to argue. There was nothing in the bag that could get him into trouble. Or so he believed. With a sigh, Tommy agreed to let them look. His movements were slow and deliberate as he unzipped the bag. The officers watched closely, their laughter gone, replaced by a keen interest. When the bag opened, Jenkins and Riley peered inside. Their expressions changed as they saw the contents. Inside were folders, a battered laptop, and notebooks filled with writing. Everything was neatly organized, each item in its place. The officers were taken aback. They had expected something different, maybe old clothes or random junk. Instead, they found order and purpose. Jenkins tried to dismiss it, saying it was all nonsense, But Riley was curious. He picked up one of the notebooks and began to flip through the pages. The pages were filled with numbers and diagrams, complex equations, and detailed drawings. Riley's initial amusement faded as he realized the work was beyond his understanding. He looked at Tommy with new eyes, seeing him not as a homeless man but as someone with a mind full of ideas. Jenkins and Riley exchanged glances, their attitude shifting. They were no longer mocking, but unsure of what they had stumbled upon. There was something in Tommy's work that felt important, something they couldn't ignore. They decided to take Tommy and his belongings to the station. It was no longer a matter of amusement. They needed to understand what they had found and whether it was significant. Tommy agreed to go. With them, his face showing no fear, only a quiet acceptance. The officers helped Tommy gather his things. They walked with him to their car, their earlier mocking replaced by a sense of duty. The park was empty now, the sun dipping below the horizon, leaving the town in shadow. As they drove to the station, the streets of Brooksville were quiet. The usual evening activities continued, unaware of the small drama unfolding. The town carried on, oblivious to the man in the back seat and the potential he carried in his worn backpack. Tommy looked out the window, his face calm and thoughtful. He didn't know what would happen next, but he felt a shift in the air, a change he couldn't quite define. The officers were silent as they drove, each lost in their own thoughts, wondering what they had discovered in the park. That evening, the car pulled into the station, the headlights cutting through the darkness. Tommy stepped out, his backpack slung over his shoulder. He followed the officers inside, ready to face whatever lay ahead. His heart was steady, and his mind was clear. Whatever came next, he would face it with the same quiet dignity he had always shown. The station was busy, officers moving about, paperwork being shuffled. Jenkins and Riley led Tommy to a room where he could sit. They placed his backpack on the table, their expression serious now. The teasing was gone, replaced by an air of responsibility. They explained the situation to Sergeant Thompson, a man known for his no-nonsense attitude. He listened carefully, his eyes on the backpack. He understood the officer's decision to bring Tommy in and agreed to look into the contents further. Tommy sat quietly, his hands folded in his lap. He watched as the officers and the sergeant discussed his work. He felt a mix of emotions: relief that someone was finally looking at his life's work, and fear of what they might decide. Sergeant Thompson opened the backpack, handling the items with care. He flipped through the notebooks, his brow furrowing as he tried to make sense of the content. It was clear this was beyond the usual cases they handled. Tommy's work was complex, filled with ideas that hinted at something bigger. The sergeant decided they needed an expert opinion. He knew someone who could help someone with the knowledge to understand what they were dealing with. He made a call, speaking in low tones, explaining the situation. Tommy watched, his heart pounding. He didn't know what would happen next, but he felt a sense of hope. Maybe, just maybe, his work would find the recognition it deserved. The officers were no longer mocking or dismissive. They were listening, and that was a start. The evening wore on the station, a hive of quiet activity. Tommy remained seated, his mind racing with possibilities. The officers kept a respectful distance now, their earlier behavior forgotten. They watched him with new respect, seeing him as more than just a man on a bench. As the night deepened, the town of Brooksville slept, unaware of the events unfolding at the station. Tommy's story was just beginning, a tale of redemption and discovery that would change the town forever. He sat there, waiting for whatever would come next, ready to face the future with courage and hope. Tommy sat in the small room at the station, looking at his worn backpack. The events at the park had led him here, but he felt calm. He knew what he had written in those notebooks. It was his life's work, and he believed in it. Officer Jenkins and Officer Riley stood nearby, feeling uneasy they had brought Tommy in for a bit of fun, but the situation had changed. Now they were responsible for something unexpected. They glanced at each other, unsure of the next step. Sergeant Thompson had called in someone who could help. He wanted an expert to look at the materials in Tommy's bag. The sergeant was a careful man, and he knew this was beyond their usual cases. He wanted to handle it right. Meanwhile, the station was busy with the usual evening activities. Officers moved about dealing with their tasks, but there was a buzz of curiosity about Tommy, and his backpack people whispered as they passed the room. Where Tommy waited, Jenkins and Riley, feeling the weight of the situation, decided to take another look at the contents of the bag. They opened it carefully, laying out the items on the table. There were folders, notebooks, and the old laptop. Each item was worn but well kept. Riley picked up a notebook again, flipping through the pages. The equations and diagrams were beyond him, but he sensed they were important. Jenkins, standing beside him, tried to dismiss it all as nonsense, but even he felt a hint of doubt. The door opened and Sergeant Thompson entered. He had spoken to his contact, and they would be arriving soon. He looked at Tommy and gave a nod, acknowledging the situation's importance. Tommy nodded back, appreciating the respect. The sergeant joined the officers at the table, examining the items closely. He turned the pages of a notebook. Frowning slightly, he could see there was more here than met the eye. The work was detailed and precise, suggesting a mind that understood complex ideas. Jenkins shifted uncomfortably. His earlier bravado was gone, replaced by uncertainty. He glanced at Tommy, who sat quietly watching them with patient eyes. There was no malice in Tommy's gaze, just a quiet dignity. The door opened again, and Dr. Emily Carter walked in. She was a respected scientist known for her work in technology and energy. Sergeant Thompson introduced her to the officers, and Tommy, she smiled politely, then turned her attention to the items on the table. Dr. Carter picked up a notebook. Her eyes scanning the pages, she paused now and then, nodding slightly. Her expression was thoughtful, and the room fell silent as she read. The officers watched her, waiting for her assessment. After a few minutes, Dr. Carter looked up. She spoke quietly to Sergeant Thompson, explaining that the materials were significant. The equations and diagrams hinted at advanced technology, something that could change how energy was used. Her words carried weight, and the officers listened intently. Tommy sat there, hearing the validation of his work. It was a moment he had hoped for but never expected. He felt a mix of relief and pride, knowing his efforts were finally being recognized. Dr. Carter continued to examine the materials, her interest growing. She picked up the proposal addressed to a tech company, reading it carefully. It outlined a new energy system, one that could revolutionize current methods. She looked at Tommy with new respect. Seeing the potential in his work, Sergeant Thompson felt a sense of urgency. The materials were important, and they needed to handle them properly. He decided to contact the Department of Energy, seeking guidance on the next steps. He wanted to ensure Tommy's work received the attention it deserved. As the sergeant made the call, the officers and Dr. Carter continued to discuss the materials. Jenkins and Riley, once dismissive, were now engaged, asking questions and seeking to understand the change. In their attitude was clear, and Tommy noticed it. The station buzzed with activity. The news of Tommy's work spreading among the officers. Some were skeptical, unable to see past their initial impressions, but others were curious, eager to learn more about the man they had underestimated. Tommy, sitting quietly, felt a shift in the air. He sensed a new beginning, a chance to reclaim his place in the world. The recognition of his work was a step towards redemption, a path he had longed to walk. Dr. Carter finished her examination and spoke with Sergeant Thompson. She urged him to secure the materials and ensure they were protected. She offered to help in any way she could. Wanting to see Tommy's work developed further, the sergeant agreed. Appreciating her expertise and willingness to assist, he assured her that they would handle the situation with care, respecting the significance of Tommy's work. Meanwhile, Jenkins and Riley reflected on their earlier behavior. They felt a sense of guilt for how they had treated Tommy. The man they had mocked was now at the center of something important, and they realized their mistake. Riley, in particular, felt a connection with Tommy. He saw him not just as a homeless man, but as someone with a story worth hearing. He resolved to make amends, to treat Tommy with the respect he deserved. The evening wore on the station, settling into a quieter rhythm. Tommy remained patient, his mind calm but hopeful. He knew there were challenges ahead, but he felt ready to face them. Dr. Carter spoke with Tommy, offering words of encouragement. She saw potential in his ideas and wanted to help him succeed. Tommy appreciated her kindness, feeling a sense of gratitude for the support he was receiving. Jenkins and Riley, standing by the door, watched the interaction. They felt a newfound respect for Tommy and a desire to help him on his journey. Their earlier amusement was forgotten, replaced by a commitment to do better. As the night deepened, the station became quiet. Officers finished their tasks and the buzz of activity faded. The room where Tommy sat was calm, filled with a sense of purpose and possibility. Tommy looked around, feeling a sense of peace. He knew his life's work had found its place, and he was ready to see where it would lead. The road ahead was uncertain, but he felt a strength within him, a determination to succeed. The events of the evening had changed everything. Tommy's story was unfolding, a tale of redemption and discovery that would impact not just him, but the town of Brooksville as well. He was ready to face the future, to embrace the opportunities before him. As the first light of dawn crept into the sky, Tommy remained seated, his heart steady and his mind clear. He knew the journey was just beginning, and he was ready to take the next step with support from those around him. He felt hopeful for what lay ahead. Tommy sat quietly in the holding room at the police station. His mind was filled with thoughts of the past and the unexpected turn of events. The room was plain, with white walls and a single window that let in the morning light. He could hear the distant sounds of phones ringing and officers talking. It was a new day, but Tommy's journey was far from over. Sergeant Thompson entered the room, his expression calm but focused. He had spent the night considering the materials in Tommy's backpack. The sergeant knew this was not an ordinary case. He wanted to handle it with care and ensure that Tommy's work received the attention it deserved. The sergeant approached Tommy, nodding in greeting. Tommy returned the nod, his eyes steady and watchful. There was a mutual respect between them, now a shift from the uncertainty of the previous evening. Sergeant Thompson explained that they would be taking a closer look at his documents and laptop. Tommy nodded, understanding the need for thoroughness in another room. Jenkins and Riley were examining the contents of Tommy's backpack. Their earlier amusement had turned into genuine interest. They were no longer just officers doing their duty. They were part of something bigger. The notebooks filled with equations and diagrams were laid out on the table. The laptop, old but functional, hummed. Quietly, Sergeant Thompson had called in a couple of experts to help analyze the materials. These were individuals he trusted, people with the background to make sense of Tommy's work. They arrived at the station and were introduced to Tommy, who greeted them with a polite nod. The experts took their seats, ready to dive into the work. The first expert was Dr. Sarah Mitchell, an engineer with a background in renewable energy. She was known for her innovative ideas and problem-solving skills. The second was Dr. Mark Patel, a tech specialist with experience in alternative energy systems. Both were intrigued by the task ahead. Dr. Mitchell picked up one of the notebooks. Her eyes scanning the pages, she paused, her fingers tracing the lines of equations, her brow furrowed in concentration. Dr. Patel sitting beside her open, the laptop navigating through the files with ease. The room was filled with a quiet intensity. As they analyzed the materials, they began to see the scope of Tommy's ideas. The equations and diagrams were not just random scribbles. They were part of a coherent plan. The work outlined a new energy system, one that could potentially change how energy was consumed and produced. Dr. Mitchell looked up from the notebook, her eyes meeting Dr. Patel's. There was a silent agreement between them that Tommy's work was significant. They continued their analysis, taking notes and discussing their findings in low tones. Tommy watched from his seat, his heart steady but hopeful. He had spent years developing these ideas, refining them in the quiet moments of his life. Now they were being examined by experts who understood their value. It was a validation he had long hoped for. Sergeant Thompson checked in on the progress, listening to the experts' discussions. He was impressed by their dedication and the respect they showed for Tommy's work. It was clear that this was more than just a routine check. It was an exploration of potential. Meanwhile, Jenkins and Riley observed from a distance. They had come to respect Tommy and his work, and they were eager to see what would happen next. The change in their attitude was noticeable, a reflection of their growing understanding. The experts continued to delve deeper into the materials. They discovered a proposal addressed to a major tech company outlining the new energy system. The proposal was detailed with clear instructions and potential applications. It was a vision of the future, one that could bring about significant change. Dr. Mitchell and Dr. Patel discussed the implications of the proposal. They saw the potential for reducing energy costs and improving efficiency. The system could be a game changer, offering a cleaner and more sustainable way to produce energy. Their excitement was palpable, and it spread to those around them. The officers and staff at the station began to see Tommy in a new light. He was not just a homeless man with a backpack. He was a visionary, with ideas that could impact the world as the day wore on. The experts completed their analysis. They compiled their findings into a report outlining the significance of Tommy's work. The report was detailed and thorough, a testament to the effort they had put into understanding the materials. Sergeant Thompson reviewed the report, nodding in agreement. He knew they had stumbled upon something important, and he felt a responsibility to see it through. He decided to contact the Department of Energy, seeking guidance on how to proceed. The call was made, and the response was quick. The Department of Energy expressed interest in Tommy's work. Recognizing its potential impact, they requested a meeting to discuss the next steps. Eager to learn more about the ideas outlined in the proposal, Tommy was informed of the development, and he felt a surge of hope. His work was finally being recognized, and there was a chance for it to be developed further. He knew there would be challenges ahead, but he was ready to face them. Jenkins and Riley, standing nearby, watched with respect. They had seen Tommy's journey from the park bench to this moment, and they felt a sense of pride in being part of it. Their earlier behavior was forgotten, replaced by a commitment to support Tommy in any way they could. Dr. Mitchell and Dr. Patel shared their findings with Tommy, explaining the significance of his work. They praised his ingenuity and offered their support for the next steps. Tommy thanked them, sincerely grateful for their help and understanding. As the day came to a close, the station was filled with a sense of purpose. Tommy's story was unfolding, a journey of redemption and discovery that was far from over. He felt a connection with those around him, a shared commitment to making his vision a reality. The officers and experts prepared for the next steps, knowing there was much to do. Tommy's work had opened doors, and they were ready to walk through them. The future was uncertain, but it was filled with possibilities. Tommy sat quietly reflecting on the events of the day. He knew his journey was just beginning, but he felt ready to face whatever lay ahead. With the support of those around him, he was confident in his ability to succeed. The night settled over Brooksville, the town quiet and peaceful inside the station. Tommy felt a sense of hope and determination. He was ready to take the next step. In his journey to embrace the opportunities that lay before him, the world was changing, and he was ready to be a part of it. The morning sun rose over Brooksville, its light filtering through the windows of the police station. Inside, the atmosphere was charged with anticipation. The events of the previous day had set things in motion, and everyone was eager to see what would happen next. Tommy sat in the small room, his mind buzzing with thoughts of the future. He had spent years working on his ideas, and now they were finally being recognized. It was a strange feeling, a mix of excitement and nervousness. He knew there was much to do, but he felt ready for the challenge. Sergeant Thompson entered the room, his expression serious but encouraging. He informed Tommy that a representative from the Department of Energy would be arriving soon. They were interested in his work and wanted to discuss the next steps. Tommy nodded, understanding the importance of the meeting. The station was a hive of activity. Officers moving about with a sense of purpose. Jenkins and Riley were among them, their attitudes transformed by the events of the past days. They no longer saw Tommy as just a man down on his luck. They respected him and were eager to help in any way they could. Dr. Emily Carter, who had been instrumental in evaluating Tommy's work, was also present. She had returned to offer her support and expertise. Her presence was reassuring, a reminder that Tommy was not alone in this journey as they waited for the representative to arrive. Tommy went over his notes, organizing his thoughts. He wanted to ensure he was prepared to discuss his ideas clearly and concisely. It was important to make a good impression and show the potential of his work. The door opened, and a woman entered, her demeanor professional and focused. She introduced herself as Agent Laura Stevens from the Department of Energy. Her task was to assess the viability of Tommy's ideas and determine the best course of action. She greeted Tommy with a firm handshake, acknowledging the significance of his work. Agent Stevens sat down with Tommy, Dr. Carter, and Sergeant Thompson. They began to discuss the details of Tommy's energy system, the proposal he had written, and the potential applications. Tommy spoke with confidence, explaining his ideas and the benefits they could bring. As they talked, Agent Stevens listened intently, taking notes and asking questions. She was impressed by Tommy's knowledge and the clarity with which he presented his ideas. It was clear that his work had the potential to make a substantial impact on energy consumption and production. Dr. Carter offered her insights, emphasizing the innovative nature of Tommy's system. She highlighted the potential for reducing energy costs and increasing efficiency. Her words added weight to Tommy's presentation, reinforcing the importance of his work. Agent Stevens considered the information carefully. She understood the potential implications of Tommy's system and the need for further development. She assured Tommy that the Department of Energy was interested in supporting his work and exploring its possibilities. The meeting continued with Agent Stevens outlining the steps that would be taken. The department would conduct a thorough evaluation of the system involving experts from various fields. They wanted to ensure that the ideas were viable and could be implemented effectively. Tommy felt a sense of relief and gratitude. The support from the Department of Energy was a significant step forward, a validation of his efforts. He knew there would be challenges ahead, but he was ready to face them with determination and resolve. As the meeting concluded, Agent Stevens expressed her appreciation for Tommy's work and his willingness to collaborate. She assured him that the department would provide the resources needed to develop his ideas further. Her words were encouraging, a promise of support and partnership. Dr. Carter offered to assist in any way she could, eager to see Tommy's work succeed. She believed in his vision and wanted to be part of its realization. Her commitment was genuine, a reflection of her respect for Tommy and his ideas. Sergeant Thompson also offered his support, assuring Tommy that the station was there to help. He had come to respect Tommy's determination and ingenuity, and he wanted to see him succeed. His words were heartfelt, a reminder that Tommy was not alone in this journey. Jenkins and Riley, observing from a distance, felt a sense of pride in being part of Tommy's story. They had witnessed his journey from the park bench to this moment, and they were eager to see where it would lead. Their respect for Tommy had grown, and they were committed to supporting him in any way they could. The meeting ended on a positive note, with plans in place for the next steps. Tommy felt a sense of hope and anticipation, knowing that his work was finally moving forward. The support from the Department of Energy was a significant milestone, a validation of his vision and efforts. As the day unfolded, the station buzzed with the energy of new beginnings. Tommy's story was one of redemption and discovery, a journey that had touched the lives of many. He felt a connection with those around him, a shared commitment to making his vision a reality. The future was uncertain, but it was filled with possibilities. Tommy knew there would be challenges ahead, but he was ready to face them with courage and determination. With the support of the Department of Energy and the people around him, he felt confident in his ability to succeed. The sun hung high in the sky, casting a warm glow over Brooksville. Inside the station, Tommy felt a sense of purpose and hope. He was ready to take the next step in his journey, to embrace the opportunities that lay before him. The world was changing, and Tommy was ready to be a part of it. With each step, he moved closer to realizing his vision, a dream that had once seemed so distant. Now it was within reach, and he was ready to make it a reality. The morning after the meeting with Agent Stevens, the police station was calm but focused. The officers were busy with their usual tasks, yet there was an underlying sense of anticipation. Tommy's story had brought a new energy to the station, and everyone felt it. Tommy was in a small office reviewing his notes. His mind was clear, and his heart was steady. The meeting had gone well, and he felt encouraged by the support from the Department of Energy. It was a big step, but he knew the journey was far from over. Dr. Emily Carter arrived at the station, ready to help with the next steps. She was committed to supporting Tommy and ensuring his ideas were developed properly. Her presence was a comfort to Tommy, a reminder that he was not alone in this journey. Sergeant Thompson joined them, eager to hear about the plans moving forward. He had come to admire Tommy's resilience and ingenuity, and he wanted to see him succeed. The sergeant had a keen sense of responsibility, and he was determined to help in any way he could. As they discussed the plans, the atmosphere was filled with hope and determination. Dr. Carter explained that the Department of Energy would be sending a team of experts to evaluate Tommy's work. They would conduct a thorough analysis, ensuring the system's viability and potential applications. Tommy listened carefully, absorbing the information. He felt grateful for the support and the opportunity to see his ideas, realized it was a chance he had long hoped for, and he was determined to make the most of it. The conversation was interrupted by the arrival of federal agents. They entered the station with an air of quiet authority, their presence commanding attention. They introduced themselves as part of a special task force investigating technological innovations. Their role was to assess the implications of Tommy's work and ensure it was handled properly. Agent Stevens was among them, her demeanor professional and focused. She greeted Tommy and the others, explaining the purpose of their visit. The task force was interested in the potential impact of Tommy's energy system and wanted to explore its possibilities. The agents requested a private meeting with Tommy, seeking to understand his background and the origins of his work. Tommy agreed, feeling a mix of apprehension and curiosity. He knew this was an important step, and he wanted to ensure they understood his intentions. In a quiet room, Tommy sat with the agents, ready to share his story. He spoke of his past, his work in renewable energy and the personal setbacks that had led him to where he was. It was a story of resilience and determination, a journey marked by challenges and triumphs. The agents listened intently, their expressions thoughtful and engaged. They asked questions about his work, seeking to understand the details and the potential impact. Tommy answered with honesty and clarity, ensuring they grasped the significance of his ideas as the meeting progressed. The agents recognized Tommy's potential. They saw a man with a vision, someone who could contribute significantly to technological advancements. They were impressed by his knowledge and his commitment to making a difference. Agent Stevens, in particular, was moved by Tommy's story. She saw the potential for his work to disrupt current energy industries, offering a cleaner and more sustainable alternative. It was a vision she believed in, and she wanted to help make it a reality. The meeting concluded with the agents expressing their interest in supporting Tommy. They offered assistance in developing his ideas, providing resources and guidance to ensure success. It was an offer Tommy could hardly believe, a validation of his work and his potential. Back in the main office, Dr. Carter and Sergeant Thompson waited for Tommy's return. They were eager to hear about the meeting and the agent's response. Their support was unwavering, a testament to their faith in Tommy and his vision. When Tommy returned, his expression was one of hope and determination. He shared the details of the meeting, explaining the agent's interest and their offer of support. It was a moment of triumph, a step closer to realizing his dream. Dr. Carter was thrilled, her excitement evident. She congratulated Tommy, praising his resilience and the significance of his work. Her belief in him was strong, and she was eager to continue supporting him in any way she could. Sergeant Thompson also expressed his pride in Tommy's achievements. He had seen the journey from the beginning, and he was committed to helping Tommy succeed. His words were heartfelt, a reflection of his respect for Tommy's determination. Meanwhile, Jenkins and Riley watched from a distance, their respect for Tommy growing. They had witnessed his journey from the park bench to this moment, and they felt a sense of pride in being part of it. Their earlier behavior was forgotten, replaced by a commitment to do better. As the day unfolded, the station was filled with a sense of purpose. Tommy's story was one of redemption and discovery, a journey that had touched the lives of many. The support from the federal agents was a significant milestone, a validation of his vision and efforts. The future was uncertain, but it was filled with possibilities. Tommy knew there would be challenges ahead, but he was ready to face them with courage and determination. With the support of the Department of Energy and the task force, he felt confident in his ability to succeed. The sun set over Brooksville, casting a warm glow over the town. Inside the station, Tommy felt a sense of peace and hope. He was ready to take the next step in his journey, to embrace the opportunities that lay before him. The world was changing, and Tommy was ready to be a part of it. With each step, he moved closer to realizing his vision, a dream that had once seemed so distant. Now it was within reach, and he was ready to make it a reality. The days following the meeting with the federal agents were busy. For Tommy, his life had changed quickly, and he was adjusting to the new pace. The support from the Department of Energy and the federal task force was encouraging, but it brought new responsibilities at the station. The officers had a newfound respect for Tommy Jenkins, and Riley in particular were thoughtful about their earlier behavior. They had teased Tommy without knowing his story, and now they felt guilty for their actions. One afternoon, Riley approached Tommy, who was sitting in a quiet corner of the station reviewing his notes. Riley sat down nearby, his expression sincere. He wanted to apologize for the way he and Jenkins had treated Tommy at the park. Riley spoke openly, admitting that they had been wrong to judge Tommy based on appearances. He explained that they had not understood the depth of his work or the strength of his character. Riley offered his help and support, wanting to make amends. Tommy listened quietly, appreciating Riley's honesty. He accepted the apology with grace, understanding that people sometimes acted out of ignorance. He saw the sincerity in Riley's words and was willing to move forward without resentment. Jenkins, too, felt the need to apologize. He approached Tommy later, echoing Riley's sentiments. Jenkins was a man who rarely admitted his mistakes, but he wanted to make things right. He offered his support, promising to treat Tommy with the respect he deserved. Tommy accepted Jenkins' apology, feeling a sense of relief. The officer's change in attitude was a sign of growth, and he was grateful for their willingness to change. It was a small but significant step toward building trust and understanding. As Tommy's work gained attention, his story spread through the town. People began to see him as more than just a homeless man on a bench. They saw a person with ideas that could change the world. The town's perception of Tommy shifted, and he became a symbol of resilience and hope. Despite the newfound attention, Tommy remained humble. He continued to work diligently, focusing on the development of his energy system. Dr. Emily Carter was by his side, providing guidance and support. Her belief in Tommy never wavered, and she was committed to helping him succeed. Sergeant Thompson also played a vital role in supporting Tommy. He ensured that the station provided a safe space for Tommy to work and collaborated with the federal agents to facilitate the next steps. His leadership was instrumental in creating an environment where Tommy could thrive in their downtime. Jenkins and Riley took it upon themselves to assist Tommy. They offered to help with errands, ensuring he had everything he needed. Their actions were genuine, a reflection of their respect and admiration for Tommy's determination. As the weeks passed, Tommy shared more of his story with the officers. He spoke of his earlier career in renewable energy and the personal setbacks that had led him to where he was. It was a story of resilience and determination, one that resonated with those who heard it. Riley, in particular, was moved by Tommy's journey. He saw beyond the surface, understanding the depth of Tommy's character. Riley admired Tommy's ability to overcome adversity and was inspired by his commitment to making a difference. The officers' changing perceptions were a testament to the power of understanding and empathy. They learned that everyone had a story, and it was important to look beyond appearances. Their interactions with Tommy taught them valuable lessons about humility and respect. Meanwhile, the development of Tommy's energy system continued. The federal agents worked closely with him, ensuring that his ideas were evaluated and refined. It was a collaborative effort with experts from various fields, contributing their knowledge and expertise. The support from the Department of Energy was unwavering. They provided resources and guidance, eager to see Tommy's vision come to life. It was a partnership based on trust and mutual respect, a testament to the value of Tommy's work. As the project progressed, Tommy's confidence grew. He felt empowered by the support he received and was determined to see his ideas realize. The journey was challenging, but he faced each obstacle with courage and resolve. The town of Brooksville watched Tommy's journey with admiration. His story was one of redemption and discovery, a testament to the power of perseverance. People were inspired by his resilience, and his journey became a source of pride for the community. Tommy's story was far from over, but the progress he made was significant. He had come a long way from the park bench, and he was ready to continue his journey with the support of those around him. He felt confident in his ability to succeed as the sun set over Brooksville. Tommy reflected on the events that had brought him to this point. He was grateful for the second chance he had received and the people who had helped him along the way. His journey was one of hope and possibility, and he was ready to embrace the future. The world was changing, and Tommy was ready to be a part of it. With each step, he moved closer to realizing his vision, a dream that had once seemed so distant now. It was within reach, and he was ready to make it a reality. The weeks turned into months, and Tommy's work continued to progress. The support from the Department of Energy and the federal agents had been consistent, providing him with the resources and guidance needed to further develop his energy system. The once distant dream of seeing his ideas realized was becoming more tangible with each passing day. One morning, Tommy received a call that would mark a new chapter in his journey. The Department of Energy had completed their preliminary evaluation of his work. They were impressed and wanted to offer him a position to further develop his ideas within their organization. The offer was generous, providing him with a team of experts and the funding necessary to bring his vision to life. Tommy was both excited and hesitant. The opportunity was remarkable, but he was unsure if he could reintegrate into such a demanding environment. It had been years since he was part of a structured work setting, and the thought of returning to one was daunting. Dr. Emily Carter, ever supportive, was there to encourage him. She reminded Tommy of how far he had come and the impact his work could have on the world. Her words were reassuring, a reminder that he was not alone in this journey. She believed in his ability to succeed and knew this was a chance he couldn't pass up. Sergeant Thompson also offered his encouragement. He had seen Tommy's growth firsthand and was proud of the progress he had made. The sergeant assured Tommy that he would have the station's support no matter what decision he made. Jenkins and Riley, too, rallied around Tommy. They had come to respect and admire him, and they wanted to see him succeed. Their transformation from skeptics to supporters was complete, and they were eager to help in any way they could. Despite the encouragement, Tommy still felt unsure. The offer was a major step, and he needed time to think it over. He decided to take a walk through Brooksville, hoping the familiar sights would help clear his mind. As he walked, Tommy thought about his journey. He remembered the challenges he had faced and the people who had helped him along the way. The town had become more than just a place to him. It was a community that had embraced him and his ideas. The townspeople had begun to see Tommy as an inspiration. They admired his determination and resilience, and his story had become a beacon of hope for many. The support from the community was palpable, and it played a significant role in Tommy's decision-making process. As Tommy strolled through the park, he spotted a group of children playing nearby. Their laughter was infectious, and it reminded him of the importance of his work. The energy system he was developing wasn't just about technology. It was about creating a better future for the next generation. It was a chance to leave a positive impact on the world. With renewed clarity, Tommy returned to the station. He had made his decision. He would accept the offer from the Department of Energy. It was a leap into the unknown, but it was a risk worth taking. The opportunity to make a difference was too important to pass up. Dr. Carter was thrilled when Tommy shared his decision. She congratulated him on taking this important step and reiterated her support. She was excited to continue working with him and to see his ideas come to fruition. Sergeant Thompson and the officers at the station were equally supportive. They celebrated Tommy's decision, acknowledging the significance of the opportunity. It was a moment of triumph, a testament to the power of perseverance and determination. The news of Tommy's decision spread quickly through Brooksville. The town rallied around him, offering their encouragement and support. They were proud of what he had achieved and eager to see what he would accomplish next. As Tommy prepared to embark on this new chapter, he reflected on the journey that had brought him here. He was grateful for the second chance he had received, and the people who had believed in him. Their support had been instrumental in his success, and he was determined to make them proud. The transition to his new role was smooth, thanks to the support from the Department of Energy and Dr. Carter. Tommy quickly settled into his new work environment, collaborating with experts and refining his energy system. It was a challenging but rewarding process, and he relished the opportunity to learn and grow. The officers at the station continued to check in on Tommy, offering their encouragement and support. Jenkins and Riley in particular made a point of staying in touch. They had come to see Tommy as a friend, and they were proud of all he had accomplished as Tommy's work progressed. So did the development of his energy system. The initial trials were successful, garnering attention from major industry players. The potential impact of his work was becoming increasingly clear, and it was a testament to his vision and determination. The town of Brooksville watched with pride as Tommy's journey unfolded. His story was one of redemption and hope, a reminder that second chances were possible. The impact of his work extended beyond technology. It was a testament to the power of resilience and the importance of community. Tommy's journey was far from over, but he was ready to face whatever lay ahead with the support of those around him. He felt confident in his ability to succeed. The future was bright, and he was eager to embrace it. As the sun set over Brooksville, Tommy reflected on his journey. He was grateful for the opportunities he had been given and the people who had helped him along the way. His story was one of hope and possibility, and he was ready to continue making a difference. The world was changing, and Tommy was ready to be a part of it. With each step, he moved closer to realizing his vision. A dream that had once seemed so distant, now it was within reach, and he was ready to make it a reality. Tommy's new role at the Department of Energy marked the beginning of a promising journey. His days were filled with meetings, research, and development. The work was demanding, but he embraced each challenge with determination. The energy system he had dreamed of was becoming a reality, and he was grateful for the opportunity to make a difference. Dr. Emily Carter continued to be a guiding presence in Tommy's life. She was a constant source of support, offering her expertise and encouragement. Together, they worked closely with a team of engineers and scientists. Their goal was to refine Tommy's energy system and test its potential in real-world scenarios. The initial trials were promising. The system showed great potential for reducing energy costs and increasing efficiency. It was a sustainable solution, one that could make a significant impact on how energy was consumed and produced. The success of the trials boosted Tommy's confidence and reinforced his belief in the importance of his work. As Tommy delved deeper into the development process, he encountered new challenges. The road to innovation was rarely smooth, and there were obstacles to overcome, but Tommy's resilience shone through. Each setback was met with resolve, and each problem was an opportunity to learn and grow. The support from the Department of Energy was unwavering. They provided the resources and guidance needed to push the project forward. The collaboration with experts from various fields was invaluable, bringing diverse perspectives and ideas to the table. Meanwhile, the officers at the station remained involved in Tommy's journey. Jenkins and Riley in particular kept in touch, eager to hear about his progress. They had become steadfast supporters, and their friendship meant a great deal to Tommy. Brooksville watched with pride as Tommy's work gained recognition. The town had embraced his story, and his journey was an inspiration to many people. Saw his success as a testament to the power of second chances and the importance of community support. Tommy's journey was not just about technology, it was about redemption and hope. His story resonated with those who had faced their own challenges, and it served as a reminder that change was possible. As the project progressed, Tommy's confidence grew. He was no longer the man who sat quietly on a park bench, uncertain of his future. He was a visionary, leading a team and making strides toward a better future. The transformation was profound, and it was a testament to his resilience and determination. The collaboration with Dr. Carter continued to be a source of strength for Tommy. She was not only a colleague, but a friend, someone who believed in his potential and shared his vision. Their partnership was built on trust and mutual respect, and it was a key factor in the project's success. As they worked together, Tommy and Dr. Carter developed a deep understanding of the energy systems, capabilities they explored, new applications, and considered ways to expand its impact. The possibilities were exciting, and they were eager to see how the system could be implemented on a larger scale. The trials attracted attention from major industry players who were interested in the system's potential. The interest was encouraging, and it validated Tommy's vision. It was a sign that his work was resonating beyond the confines of the department, and it opened up new opportunities for collaboration and growth. As the project gained momentum, Tommy found himself reflecting on his journey. He thought about the challenges he had faced and the people who had supported him along the way. The journey had been long and difficult, but it was worth every moment. He was grateful for the second chance he had received and the opportunity to make a difference. The town of Brooksville remained a source of support and encouragement. Residents followed Tommy's progress with interest, and his story had become a point of pride for the community. The impact of his work extended beyond technology. It was a testament to the power of resilience and the importance of community as the project moved toward its next phase. Tommy felt a sense of fulfillment and purpose. He was living a dream that had once seemed distant, and he was determined to see it through. The journey was far from over, but he was ready to face whatever lay ahead. The world was changing, and Tommy was ready to be a part of it. With each step, he moved closer to realizing his vision. A dream that had once seemed so distant now, it was within reach, and he was ready to make it a reality as the sun set over Brooksville. Tommy reflected on his journey. He was grateful for the opportunities he had been given and the people who had believed in him. His story was one of hope and possibility, and he was ready to continue making a difference. The future was bright, and Tommy was eager to embrace it with the support of those around him. He felt confident in his ability to succeed. The journey was not just about technology. It was about redemption, resilience, and the power of community. Tommy's story was far from over, but the progress he had made was significant. He had come a long way from the park bench, and he was ready to continue his journey. The impact of his work extended beyond technology. It was a testament to the power of second chances and the importance of community support with each passing day. Tommy moved closer to realizing his dream. The world was changing, and he was ready to be a part of it. The journey was challenging, but it was filled with hope and possibility, with determination and perseverance. Tommy was ready to make his vision a reality. The day finally arrived when Tommy's energy system underwent its most critical trials. The previous months had been a whirlwind of activity and preparation. The Department of Energy had invested heavily in the project, and anticipation was high. Tommy stood at the heart of it all. His mind focused his spirit. Unwavering engineers, scientists, and officials gathered at the test site, each playing a crucial role in the day's events. Dr. Emily Carter was by Tommy's side, her presence a calming influence. She had been a steadfast partner throughout the journey, and today was no different. The trial began with a series of checks and calibrations. The system was complex, but every component had been meticulously prepared. Tommy watched as the team worked, his heart steady but full of anticipation as the test commenced. The energy system came to life. It was a moment of truth, the culmination of years of hard work and dedication. The system operated smoothly, its potential evident in the data being collected. The results were promising, confirming the viability of Tommy's vision. The success of the trials garnered immediate attention. Industry leaders and government officials were impressed, recognizing the system's potential to revolutionize energy consumption. It was a breakthrough, a step toward a more sustainable future. Tommy felt a profound sense of accomplishment. The dream that had once seemed distant was now within reach. His work had been validated and the impact was undeniable. The system had the potential to change lives, offering a cleaner, more efficient way to produce energy. In the days following the successful trials, Tommy received numerous offers from major industry players. They were eager to collaborate, recognizing the value of his work. The opportunities were exciting, opening doors to new possibilities and partnerships. The Department of Energy offered Tommy a permanent position, providing financial backing to continue his research. It was a significant milestone, a testament to the importance of his work and the trust placed in him. Tommy accepted the offer, grateful for the chance to further develop his ideas. He knew there was still much to learn, but he was ready to embrace the challenge. The journey had been long and difficult, but the support he had received made it all worthwhile. Back in Brooksville, the town celebrated Tommy's achievements. His story had become a source of pride, a testament to the power of resilience and the importance of community. People admired his determination and the impact of his work, and they were eager to see what he would accomplish next. Jenkins and Riley, who had been with Tommy from the beginning, shared in the celebration. They had witnessed his journey from the park bench to this moment, and their respect for him had only grown. They were proud of their friend and inspired by his success. Dr. Carter continued to be a key figure in Tommy's life. She was thrilled by the success of the trials and eager to continue working with him. Their partnership was built on trust and shared goals, and it had been instrumental in bringing Tommy's vision to life. Sergeant Thompson also expressed his pride in Tommy's accomplishments. He had supported Tommy from the start, and he was glad to see his efforts recognized. The sergeant's leadership had helped create an environment where Tommy could thrive, and he was proud to have been part of the journey. As Tommy reflected on his journey, he felt a deep sense of gratitude. The path had not been easy, but the support from those around him had made all the difference. He had been given a second chance, and he was determined to use it to benefit others. The success of the energy system was just the beginning. Tommy was eager to continue his work, exploring new applications and expanding the systems. The future was bright, and he was ready to embrace it with open arms. Tommy's story was one of hope and possibility, a reminder that second chances were possible. His journey had touched the lives of many, inspiring those who had faced their own challenges. It was a testament to the power of resilience and the importance of community support. As Tommy prepared for the next phase of his journey, he felt a sense of peace and fulfillment. He was living a dream that had once seemed distant, and he was grateful for the opportunity to make a difference. The town of Brooksville watched with pride as Tommy's journey continued. His story was a reflection of the strength and spirit of the community, a reminder that together anything was possible. With each passing day, Tommy moved closer to realizing his vision. The world was changing, and he was ready to be a part of it. The journey was challenging, but it was filled with hope and possibility. With determination and perseverance, Tommy was ready to make his vision a reality. As the sun set over Brooksville, Tommy stood on the threshold of a new chapter. He was grateful for the opportunities he had been given and the people who had believed in him. His story was one of redemption and hope, and he was ready to continue making a difference. If you love the story, like the video and subscribe.